versus Billy Chemirmir. Where we left off was the state of Texas was during their case in chief, and they were cross-examining Detective Brian Tabor, who is still on the stand. Mr. Tabor, you're the person who previously sworn in prior to the vote, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may continue, Mr. Martin.
All right, thank you, Judge. Next day, we'll just go ahead and pick up right where we left off on this video, okay?
Okay.
Because there's a lot of white Ford Chevy, or a lot of white Chevys out there.
Even I didn't know it was him. I guess I looked and I saw. I said that looks like that guy's truck.
But what's so distinctive about it to make you think that that was his and not some other?
Because of, he said he told me that he lives in that area. So that's.
Well, you said you didn't think he lived there.
No, I told you. He told me he lives in Spring Valley, but that's what I said. He said somewhere in Spring Valley.
So he tell you where he lives. What did he tell you his name was?
Huh?
What was his name?
He didn't tell me exactly where he lived. He told me I live somewhere in Spring Valley. That's what I'm saying.
But he never told you his
No,
name?
he never told me.
Never gave you a phone number?
No. That's what I'm saying.
So every time, how did you meet this guy?
How did I meet him? This has been a long time ago. I met him when he sold me a ring.
That was when? How many months ago, years ago?
This is like 1.5 years ago. Yeah.
And when before he came over and sold you your account of selling you the George tonight or yesterday, when was the time you saw him before that?
No, I saw him, that was around 4:30.
No, I'm saying, other than this time, when was the last time you actually saw him?
I saw him, this was about 3 months ago.
3 months ago. How long have you been living over there in Bear Ridge?
Almost a year.
Almost a year. How many times has he been over there?
Him,
Yeah.
once today.
Today was his first time. And how did he know how to go there?
What, to prepare it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I told him I live on Parish. I told him to come to Parish apartments. That's what I told him.
That's what you told him. Is he by himself?
Yeah.
And it's just, for you taking all this in, I mean, do you think that I believe it when you're telling me?
Yeah.
You think I believe what you're telling me?
I want you to believe because I'm telling the truth.
I think you're compromising the truth. Okay? Because right now, for somebody who's so caring about his own family, you're not really having any other cares for anybody else.
Yeah, I don't care about people.
You may care about your people,
No, I care about them.
your family, but not other people.
I do.
Well, if you do, what happened wouldn't have happened.
All right. That's what I tell you. I will not in anybody's house the way you're trying to tell me. I'm not taking anybody's story. I bought that jewelry today. That jewelry.
You bought the money,
Yeah.
who was owned by the same person as the jewelry,
No.
from a Jordanian guy in Fort Worth,
Yeah.
from Offer Up.
And I travel a lot.
So when I go to your Offer Up account, you're going to have a transaction on there for a $3 bill or $2 bills.
You want to check?
I wouldn't go check it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think you're going to be that surprised when it's not on there.
It's there.
No, it's not going to be there.
It's there. Because, sometimes.
If I were running the phone right now, would you, let me ask you this, in order to speed things up a little bit, will you give me consent for your phone?
Yeah.
Do you need consent? Okay. Good job.
Detective David, when you're asking for consent for the phone, what are you wanting at that point in time?
I'm asking for his permission to get into his cell phone and extract the information from it.
Is your phone, Billy? Right here?
Yeah.
That's your phone? Is that your own phone or do you have multiple phones? Huh? Are you doing okay? Are you hungry or anything?
No, I'm fine. That's cold.
I know. Let me see how I can find you a blanket.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Spell your last name again.
CHE. MIR. MIR.
And 12/8/70. Ever heard of this type of phone?
Yeah, they're new.
Is that
Metro PCS.
Alcatel?
Yeah.
What's the phone number to this?
972-674-7527.
All right, Billy. I'm going to read this to you. So is that Billy Chemirmir?
Yeah.
Close enough?
Yeah.
Good. Having been informed by Brian Tabor, a police officer of the Dallas Police Department, City of Dallas, Dallas County, Texas, of my constitutional right not to have a search made, exemplars taken, or evidence seized from you without a search warrant. And having been told my right to refuse such a search or seizure, hereby authorize the above named officers to do the following acts. Search your Alcatel cell phone, phone number 972-674-7527. These officers were authorized by me to take any stolen property, implements of a crime, instrumentalities, or other property which may have been used, obtained, or possessed in violations of the laws of Texas, any other states, or of the United States. Any physical evidence which they believe to be evidence of a suspected criminal offense, or any items which they believe to be relevant to the investigation of a suspected criminal offense. This written permission is being given by me to the above named officers voluntarily and without threats or promises of any kind, and is given with my full and free consent. You agree to that?
Yeah.
Do you agree to us searching your phone? Sign right there. And is there a password?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what that is?
Excuse me?
Can you tell me what the password is?
Yeah.
What is it?
8686.
What is it?
8686.
All right. Sure you did anything? Just a blanket? I'll look, let's see if we have one.
Commissioner Brush?
Okay.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibits 136. It's already been placed in the evidence. Is this that same phone that you were just talking to him about?
Yes, sir, it is.
State's Exhibit number 318. Is this a copy of that consent to search form that you just filled out with him?
Yes, sir.
And then we're going to see on another series of videos later on, does Detective Martinez of the Plano Police Department add to this document later on?
Yes, he does.
The 318 has in the blue writing in here, that's all the stuff that you did.
Correct, yes.
And then you leave the room there. You then go and have this phone, what we call an extraction of.
Yes, I did.
And what is an extraction?
An extraction is where they pull basically your call detail records, your text messages, photographs, videos, and anything that can be taken off your phone and stored on our programs.
Okay, so it's basically taking a picture of everything or a copy of everything that's on the phone.
Yes, it is.
Because
Yes,
that's what's contained in State's Exhibits 296.
yes sir.
We'll offer State's Exhibit 318 and 296. Yeah.
All right. State Exhibit number 318 and State Exhibit 296 will be admitted as evidence.
Judge, the lights should come back in.
Okay.
Now, Detective Tabor, does that end your portion of talking to Mr. Chemirmir at that time?
Yes, it does.
He had mentioned to you that he was cold and he wanted a blanket.
Right.
Did you have a blanket to give to him?
I did look, and we did not have any that night.
I think when we start, eventually Detective Martinez of the Plano Police Department go in with another detective to talk to Mr. Chemirmir.
Right. Yeah.
If he's dressed in a different outfit, what type of what did you give him to help him with him being cold?
Well, we gave him a jumpsuit, a white jumpsuit, and booties, and that was also for his clothes. Yeah.
So he changes out of his clothes and jumps into this jumpsuit that has long sleeves and some booties for his feet.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. At some point in time, did he also indicate to you that he was hungry, or that he wanted something to eat?
Yeah, I do believe he did. Yes.
And did you offer him and give him some what you could find there in the police station?
Yeah, I found him some donuts or a honey bun or something like that. Yeah.
Now, as the lead detective in this case, and familiar with the other parts of the investigation, we didn't, in Ms. Harris's case, we did not find any of Mr. Chemirmir's DNA or anything like that linked into Ms. Harris's case.
No, we did not.
We didn't have any fingerprints that linked into Ms. Harris's case.
No, sir.
We canvassed the area and looked for home video cameras or anything like that, security cameras to try to link Mr. Chemirmir or for that matter, Ms. Harris's car coming or going, and we weren't able to find any of that.
Yes, sir. We did multiple times. Went out to the neighborhood trying to find video cameras, and were unable to.
We did an extensive investigation and trying to link as many things as we could to Mr. Chemirmir or to rule him out if that were the case.
Yes, sir.
Now, when you're talking to him, I think it was kind of obvious in your tone with him. The story that he was giving you, did you buy any of that story at all?
I did not believe anything that he was telling me, especially, just his timeline between what he did and how he met people. I never believed that the people existed that he's bringing up. The accounts that he was going back to, he was struggling with giving any kind of details, and that would have been from earlier in the day. So, yeah, of course, I didn't believe anything he was saying.
Commissioner Approach.
Yeah.
So, as we look on State's Exhibit 317, and you're aware that he and Ms. Harris are leaving at 328 around 328, 329 from the Walmart store.
Yes, sir.
And their cars exit out into Arapahoe around, I think the latest one is around 342, something like that, somewhere around that neighborhood.
Right.
Okay? And his apartment is up here at 4500 Pear Ridge.
Yes, sir.
Spring Valley is south of Arapahoe. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So these locations that he is saying that he would have to have run into this individual would be south of this Arapahoe, closer down towards 635 than up closer to present Georgia.
Correct, yes.
And Spring Valley's even south of Beltline.
I'd have to look at the map, but it's pretty far south from that location.
And so Detective Martinez, he was the lead detective on the Mary Bartell case for Plano, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Did they arrive down there and get invited and say, hey, if you want to go take a talk to them about your case, you're more than welcome?
Yes, we had him come down as well. Yeah.
I'll pass. Oh, do you see Mr. Chemirmir in the courtroom today?
I do. He's at the left of wear the suit and the mask.
Okay. Well, I think.
Well, with the zebra color tie.
Okay, thank you.
It's hard to see from this angle in front of him, so.
Okay. Let the record reflect the witness as identified the defendant in open court.
The record was over blatant.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right, Mr. Moore, any questions?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Afternoon, Detective, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. So, Tom Oding, he exists, doesn't he?
Repeat that?
Tom Oding, doesn't he exist?
Right, the friend.
Right, but you stated to Mr. Fitzmartin that the people that he gave you stated that you didn't believe that they existed, correct?
Well, the ones that he's talking about that he met up, I know that Tom's a real person. He had phone numbers, he had actual physical evidence the guy existed. The other ones were just, in my opinion, figments of his imagination.
Okay. And then, as the lead detective, and Mr. Fitzmartin went over, and obviously you and I have known each other for quite some time. You've been with homicide for about 16 years, is that correct?
About 13, yes, or over 13.
Okay. And have handled as lead detective approximately what?
100 or so cases.
Okay. And that big book or binder in front of you, what do you call that? What is that?
It's just our murder book.
Okay. And for each case that you're assigned to as the lead detective, you compile that information, is that right?
Right.
And any and all information regarding a case that you're the lead detective on comes to and through you, is that right?
Right.
Okay. And in this situation, especially when Mr. Chemirmir was arrested in connection or in conjunction with the Plano Police Department and the Dallas Police Department, did you also receive those reports?
I did, yes.
Okay. Did you happen to see the inventory that was done on that Hyundai?
The inventory?
Yes, sir.
I would imagine it's in the case file, not necessarily in our book, but on the K drive.
Okay.
I would imagine it would be.
May I approach you?
You may.
I'm showing you a supplemental report from the Plano Police Department. Take a look at that one.
Okay.
And this specifically here on page 3. You see item where it's a list located in the vehicle, which would be the picture of the Hyundai.
So you're talking about a picture of it?
Yes, sir. As well as the items that were recovered.
Right. Yeah, I see that.
Okay. And are you familiar with? Have you seen that before?
I'm sure I read it back when we were first on the case.
Okay. And basically, my point is, in the itemized list, it shows the paper bag containing. We'll read number 1.
Paper bag containing some sort of takeout food was located behind the driver's seat.
And Mr. Chemirmir, in the interview you had with him, he told you that he had stopped and bought food for his family from, I think it was, confusion.
Not for confusion, yes, sir.
Okay. And that number 1 would be consistent with that, is that correct?
Well, without knowing when that takeout food was bought, I couldn't say whether or not it was the same food.
But it was takeout recovered that was on the front seat of that vehicle, is that right?
Right. Well, yes, there was a bag there, but I just can't say when the bag was put there.
Gotcha. And number 2 states that what?
Plastic bag containing 2 bottles of wine was located on the back seat.
And in your interview, he also told you he had stopped and bought a couple of
Right.
wine, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And number 6 states what?
Albertson's plastic bag containing a package of diapers was located in the front seat passenger seat.
And he also told you he had stopped to pick up diapers for his young son, Prince, is that correct?
Correct.
And then also number 7.
A Walmart plastic bag containing a carton of eggs was located in the front passenger floorboard.
And also number 8.
Walmart plastic bag with a bottle of Dawn liquid soap in the front passenger floor.
And those two items were also something that he had told you during his interview that he had stopped to pick up.
Yes, sir.
Detective Tabor, you stated that you had been in homicide prior to your retirement for about 13 years. You've done approximately 100 or so cases, whereas that's as lead detective too, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, that's not even including the ones where you assisted on and done other things but weren't the lead, is that right?
Correct,
That
yes.
would explanate that number quite a bit, right?
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Fitzmartin asked you earlier in regards to some of the tactics that you use in an interview, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, for instance, so this room where you interviewed Mr. Chemirmir, where's that located?
That's located at our police headquarters, the Jack Evans building.
And what's a common term or phrase that's used to describe this room, the area where you guys interviewed?
The common term, headquarters.
Well, I mean, like a layperson's term, like people in the community that may say, have you ever heard the term the First Brigade room?
Oh, the First 48 building? Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And what is that referring to?
The A&E series, First 48, that's a homicide documentary.
Okay. And so the tactics that Mr. Fitzmartin had asked you about earlier, what exactly are those tactics that you use in an interview?
Well, it's hard to explain any tactic that you use in general. When you go in and you start talking to someone, you see where that interview goes. And, when we're talking to someone, we don't have to tell them the truth. You know the term bluffing. Sometimes we do try to give them some information that we may not necessarily have, but want to convince them that we do. And that's just one of the tactics that I use in this.
Right. And the law allows you to do that, correct?
Right.
So you can bluff, you can lie, you can trick if necessary to see what information that can be elicited from that person you're interviewing, correct?
Yes, sir.
And those are all the things that you told Mr. Chemirmir that you weren't doing, you actually were doing.
Of course, yes.
Okay. And throughout all that, what was the total length of this interview with Mr. Chemirmir?
I couldn't tell you the entire length. Maybe around 2.5, 3 hours.
Okay. And that's actual speaking time between yourself and Mr. Chemirmir?
Possibly, yes.
Do you know the length of time that Mr. Chemirmir was being held in that room there?
I'd have to go back and look at the video to see when it was started and ended, but it was a while.
Okay, and basically, like I said, you and I, we've done this several times, and typically how it works is individuals held a little bit before, or not even a little bit, normally it's an hour or so before, then you guys come in, do the interview, and then you make it held after that fact. So it's normally greater than the length of time of actual conversation, correct?
Are you asking like the time frame between when he got put in
Yes.
and the time that we actually talked to him?
Yes, sir.
That can vary from case to case. There's no set time when you get to interview somebody. Really, you get to interview them when you get to it. I mean, sometimes you can't always get to them right away in interview.
Right, but there's normally, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And as I say, and you want to be as up to date on the case as you can. You want to make sure you have all the information possible before you go in there and talk to them. So, so you can't make that statement that it's an hour or 30 minutes before or 4 hours. It's different.
And it can vary. So sometimes it can be as short as half an hour, and sometimes it's been as long as 3 or 4, correct?
Sometimes it can be immediate, yes.
Okay. Is another tactic that you used, or that maybe you used widely between you and your colleagues during an interview, is it to make it, to develop some sort of rapport with the person that you're interviewing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that could be making, feigning, liking that person, or maybe trying to make it personal to get that person open up to you. Is that right?
Well, I think just talking to anybody in general, you try to be at least polite to them and be genuine in that aspect that, you're talking to him. I was never disrespectful to him. Just wanted to talk to him like he was just a guy across from me that I'm talking to, and didn't want to make it uncomfortable for him or myself.
And sometimes a tactic that has been used is to get close to the person and kind of shorten the personal space between you and the individual. Isn't that correct, Detective?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what I'm getting at, Tabor, is that throughout all these several hours of Mr. Chemirmir being in that interview room, throughout the several hours that you interviewed him and questioned him repeatedly about the same things over and over again, the one thing that he was, or the two things he was continually consistent about was that he didn't kill anyone and he didn't rob anyone. Isn't that correct?
He kept saying that he was going to stick to his original story and go from there, yes.
Thank you, Tabor. I'll pass with you, John.
Any further questions, Mr. Martin?
Briefly, so he knew exactly that he bought Dawn, that he bought diapers, that he bought eggs, that he was at Albertsons, that he was at Walmart. All the things that are legal to do, he had good detail and knew exactly those things. Went to African Fusion, got some food, all those. He knew all those details, right?
Yes, sir, yeah.
When it came down to the illegal stuff, how he got into possession of some property that he was arrested with, that became a lot more foggy as far as, I met a guy in Spring Valley, don't know his name, white truck, whatever.
Well, yeah, he struggled for the details of who he met, how much he paid for the jewelry box to begin with, whether it was $600, I think he later stuck to $700, but he went back and forth on that. So the details were not sharp as they should have been for that moment.
I'll pass with this.
Anything further, Mr. Moore?
No, Your Honor.
All right. May this witness be released?
No objection.
I just want to keep my hold on it. Thank you, Judge.
You know how this goes, Detective Tabor. You are going to be released subject to recall. Make sure all the parties have your contact information and if you are available to come back and testify if needed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you for the release.